What is shaking, everybody? JT back with you here in the Studio 10 for live. Good afternoon to you. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Man, we got a jam-packed show today. There is a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces. Want to be sure and say thanks to our sponsors, and that would be Time to Shine, Evans Detailing and Polishing, of course. Evan Stagger, our good buddy. Everybody's good buddy. Who's not a friend with Evan? Everybody loves Evan, right? So, Evan, thanks for always being there and being a part of our monthly cover feature show on Studio 10 for Live. And the guys over at Max Mileage, Pittsburgh Power, and they are the folks you want to go to when you need something tuned to perfection. They also make this fantastic additive, which is the Max Mileage additive. You know, I'm going to do something here. It's been a while since we've done a cover feature show, so I am ill prepared. Man, let me fix that. Bam! There we go. Oh, look at that. We are now we're doing it like we're supposed to be doing it. There we go. So those guys down there below that you see, including us right there, in the center, 104magazine.com. If you want a subscription from 104 Magazine, that's where you want to go. If you want to look good, you want to go there. If you want to run good, you want to go there. Anyway, check them all out, pittsburghpower.com, go shineon.com, and get yourself looking and running your best possible self. Today's show, we got Kent Swapp. He's our current January 2025 first cover truck of the new year, and we've got Kent coming in. Hopefully, he's grabbing a gear somewhere on the internet and trying to grab that thing and make it work right. So we'll get Kent in here for sure. Also have Dan and Tim and Shan on the show. We're going to be talking some TFK, Truckin For Kids, for those of you that may be first-time viewers or not familiar with what we do around here, which is a lot and pretty cool. If it's cool, it's 10-4. So that's us, and that's what we do. Howdy to everybody tuned in so far. April in the background, she's a fan, she's a viewer, she's part of the team. She's probably throwing stuff at Tim as he's on the show with us. We'll see what happens if he has to duck. What's going on? Chip and Salsa. That's an inside joke, man. Y'all don't know that guy, but that's okay. Good to have him on the show. And Miss Shannon, of course. Charles Hale, what's going on? Good to have you on there, buddy. In case some of you wonder, and those of you that are watching now that haven't commented yet, and those that are new to the show, if you haven't commented, I don't know that you're there. I just know a number's there. I know a bunch of people are there. Hell of a lot more people are watching than have commented. But once you comment, then I get to see who you are and that you've made a comment. Dan, what's going on? Daniel Lee Anderson, what's happening? Good evening, brother. Good to have you on the show. Another feature on today is going to be an interview with Scott McLean. Scott McLean is, and I don't know what his official title was when he was active duty, but he is retired, but back on duty for CAL FIRE right now. It's pretty much all hands on deck. Anybody that can possibly be there to help out is. Scott's a very valuable asset to their team. Been around a long time, and I had the fortune of spending about 25 minutes talking to Scott about what's going on with these fires down in Southern California. But more importantly, because we are trucking, and that's what we do, we wanted to get the lowdown, the scoop on what is happening with these inbound truck inspections that are going on, and just put to rest, the truckers drama. Wait a minute. They never exaggerate. Everything's always accurate. Listen, I know everybody, it sounds better when it's really not as fun as it might be, but trust me, the reality is, and here it is, there is no interference with CARB at these inspection or inbound truck inspections that are going on. The reason they're doing these is to record what kind of condition the trucks are in when they come in, administer any repairs that need to be repaired or done before they assign them to an area to go help and fight fire. for obvious reasons. Geez, okay. I mean, we all know that, and that is make sure they make it to where they're going, do what they're supposed to do, and guess what? Get back home. They also do an outbound inspection. Now, what happens when they come in and they need tires and brakes and start naming things? They get fixed. And all those statistics and all that information is in the interview. It's a recorded interview that we did with Scott because obviously he's doing, I don't know how many of these a day, but every day, all day, that's what Scott does. So he gave me the opportunity to sit in with him for 25 minutes. Great guy, former trucker too, by the way. Used to drive the delivery truck for a lumber company, building material company. An old Jimmy with a Detroit. So listen, Scott got his stripes. That guy did. He drove one of the old ones that works you don't work it trucks. Yeah, that's what he was driving. So look forward to doing that. At the end of the show, we're going to have Dan and Tim come in first. We're going to talk TFK, and then we're going to bring Kent and whoever he decides to have on the show with him in right after that. So right now, let's go ahead and let's introduce Dan and Shan first. Dan and Shan, hi guys.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Good.
We're recovering. We're still getting a little bit better from being sick over the holidays, but we're better.
I sound better.
She sounds a bit better.
You're a little nasally, so we don't even know really what you had, right? It was
just a flu, cold. Yeah.
Some kind of funk.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't a bad sickness that lasted long. It just won't go away. So
well, you know what? That might not be whatever it was as much, and I hate to say this, get ready for it. Age makes that happen.
Oh, shut it.
Hey, speaking to, oh yeah, I know who the elder is in that duo right there, and it ain't her, brother. So
I don't color my hair, so I look natural.
Whoa, he just gave you up? Did he just give you up? Holy Shan, all this time I thought you were just naturally.
I have so many different colors through the years, so
I you know what? I'm the worst. There's a couple of things I'm terrible at, and that's kids' age. I'm terrible guessing kids' ages, and I'm sorry, ladies, but you know what? I mean, once in a while I might notice something, but probably not. Now, if it was a truck and something was different or done and whatever, yeah, different story. So I don't know, slap some chrome on, some lights, and you got me. All right, so we've got some Truckin For Kids stuff to talk about, and I want to bring Mr. Tim Sieben in, and he's in whiteout mode over there in Nevada today. How's it going, Tim?
Great. How you guys doing?
Hey, let's take Dan and Shan out of the logo zone here. There you go, guys. There you go.
It's all that big, beautiful lighting you have in your living room, Tim.
I know. Yeah. So I gotta put a dimmer switch on or something, So.
Hey, by the way, I want to take a minute to say, hey, Pete Henderson, of course, regular on the show and tuning in, and Pete Zamora down in Arizona. Pete, what's going on, man? One of our long-term volunteers and important parts of Truckin For Kids. So, Pete, thanks for everything you do.
Pour me another drink, Pete.
Yeah, right. We're gonna have to make an after party over at his bar sometime. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I know.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on? Jeff Parker, Eddie Staley, what's going on, guys? So let's talk about Truckin For Kids, and Dan, you were probably full of the most recent and exciting knowledge. Let's hear what you got, man.
Well, we finally had a chance to go tour the facility yesterday.
Finally.
And the transition has been made to the new ownership or leadership over there. And so we got a great tour from a couple of the guys at the track. I want to give some credit to Jim Black and Jeff Chrysler. They gave me at Famoso. Yes, I'm sorry. Famoso drag strip.
Yes.
And they toured us around, showed us around a few things, and clued us in on a lot of things. And I have to say, I was really impressed. I haven't been to this facility since TFK was there 20 years ago. And we actually looked back. I thought it was 15, but it was 20 years ago, 2003
and 20.
4 and 5,
Yep.
2004 and 5. So it's officially been, this being a 2025 show, it's 20 years later, we're going back. So
Right.
been there.
And it's so exciting. I mean, just to see it just got me all excited about doing the show again. And
it's a great facility. It's wide open. It's big. There's room for everything. I mean, so I sent a few pictures. So that's like obviously like a Google shot of the overview. You can see the drag strip there on the right, the grandstands, those white boxes next to it. And then there's sort of some trees there. That is actually going to be a really neat vendor row for us to have in between where the trucks are on that black area.
Yep.
All the pavement.
And that's called the Grove with the trees.
Yep. So we're going to have some of our vendors, if they choose to be, they can be in there. They don't have to be, but I think it's going to be nice. It'll give them a little bit of shade. People will be able to walk down a paved road and have vendors on both sides. It won't be dusty or dirty. They'll get, a little shade if it's hot. I think it's going to be really cool. And then obviously all that black, that is all asphalt.
That is all for everyone to come
It's
to.
wide open. It's flat.
Come on.
There aren't any lines. The only thing impeding any of that lot is
Bring it on.
Is a row of about 6 power poles running down the middle of it. Other than that, it's absolutely, there's no handicap spots. There's no ramps. There's no lines. I guess there's no lights. Huh?
Yeah, there's
No, there doesn't look like it. But you know what? Here's what's going to happen too with these the next group of pictures we got coming up.
Okay.
You guys are going to get a really good perspective of just how big this place is. So, you ready for me to go to the next shot, Dan?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should first say that center row where the power poles are is probably going to be called Main Street. Next to the Grove, we're going to have the Grove. We're going to have Main Street going up and down the middle.
There you go. Exactly.
And it looks like there is lights up there on the top of the
there's
pole.
lights and speakers, so we're able to
make some announcements.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To everybody out
if
there.
we need to or want to, we can do it. We can do it all down the track and all in the parking lot.
And this shot here still doesn't really give you the perspective of just how big this place is. This looks like that shot of the never-ending road that everybody.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Well, to give you an idea, we did a little bit of measurements on it, and it's about 300 feet wide, and it's 1/8 of a mile long. The pavement.
There you go.
300 feet by 1/8 of a mile. So
I think this next one's gonna.
Hold on? Don't switch it. Do you see how those trees, right?
Yeah.
The pavement goes all the way to the end of the trees.
Okay.
And then beyond that is pavement and dirt, and that's RV parking. And there's probably room for 400 RVs out there.
So once again, bring it on.
I'm
Bring
saying
RVs. Yeah,
I'm saying we gonna have potty, yeah.
Do you want to...
All right, next shot.
So that's the Grove where we were talking about where we would have vendors. So that's the pavement that people would walk down, golf carts would go down, and then our vendors would be on each side.
I like it.
And they're kind of like, there's a booth or two and then a tree or two.
Yeah.
And then a booth or two and then a tree or two. I mean, it's
so they're not crammed together.
Yeah, it's not like booth. It should have a really nice, loose feel about it. And if people don't want to be in the Grove, they can also be against the fence on the right side of this photo. Behind that bathroom, there's a fence there, and that's on the edge of the truck lot. So there will be some spots available over there.
Okay. Awesome. And hey, by the way, Kent, I know you're watching right now. I see you guys sitting there. We see you. We can't hear you, but just hang tight, and we'll bring you in here shortly after we get this Truckin for Kids segment done and get to you, man. So hang tight. All right, next up. Looks like we got a shot of the return road from the track. Is that right?
So yeah,
Yes.
that is the other side of the parking area. So the first picture we took was the far left of where you can see. So this kind of shows. So to the right here, where it's kind of dirt and a little bit of asphalt, that's where the RV parking begins. So it's like that. It's like you put your RV maybe in the dirt, and you can still walk and drive on some pavement because there's like pavement strips in between.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of comfy and organized out there. And as you can see, the RVs will be right next to the truck lot. They won't be shoved in any corners or crammed in any nooks. Everyone's going to be out there together. And like I said, sky's the limit. Bring them on.
It's exciting.
That's right.
I'm learning in the RV world too that when we park like this, so this dirt area, this is the RV parking. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So what we need to make sure we do, and you guys that are watching that are RVers, we're going to make sure we give you guys plenty of room so you can set your yard up outside your
Oh,
RV,
definitely.
and you're not stepping out of your steps into somebody else's RV, kind of, right?
So
No,
just
no.
to give you some size on this. So where that second barrel is, where that blacktop ends, that's where the 8th mile of pavement ends.
Uh-huh.
So what you see here to the right for RVs with dirt and some asphalt, goes another 8th mile.
So there's
Wow.
plenty of space.
So we're on this is the return road that comes from the end of the quarter mile, because
Okay.
there's an 8th mile, then an 8th mile cool down. And then they
So-
hang a right and they take this return road that basically winds all the way around the perimeter of everything.
So this
back to
this
the-
right here where my cursor's at, that's where they're coming off the track, and then they're going up this way. Is that
No.
right?
No, that's even further
No,
down.
no, it's-
that's behind.
It's an 1/8 of
Yeah.
a mile behind us.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
okay. Okay.
So there's an
Hey,
1/8 of a mile of RV parking.
Just a little housekeeping to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. So this is where we're going to be hosting Truckin For Kids 2025 down in it's actually McFarland, but the property is Famoso. And if you want to look it up, check it out. Famoso Raceway, drag strip, whatever, down there. Been around for I don't know how many years, but
Since the
Quite-
50s. Since the
quite-
50s.
quite a historic site, and
Yeah.
still to this day utilized all the time for so many different things, from NHRA to club events to Truckin For Kids now, and it has
20 years
hosted it
later.
before. Yeah, so the list goes on, but yeah. So Mike Anderson, there's your answer, buddy. That's where it's at. It's McFarland, California. So
When
this
Truckin- When Truckin
ahead.
For Kids was there 20 years ago, that lot was not paved. It was chip seal and gravel.
Ah. Yuck. I hate chip seal.
Yeah.
This place too, by the way, and pretty obvious from the photos, this place is as flat as it gets. This is the valley of San Joaquin. This is it's flat. So not like Bakersfield with some elevations around the track and different things, but very accommodating. And this last photo that we're going to share, this is the one that really tells you what you're getting into. Oh,
So this
I
is
mean-
a picture I took of a picture hanging on the wall. And this is the entire facility. I believe this is for their spring fling,
Yeah.
which they have in March Madness or something.
nostalgia
It's the
cars.
opening of the Nostalgia series.
God, I love those
And
races, man. Those are awesome.
So you can see the drag strip in the middle. All of the stuff below that in the foreground, that is all spectator parking.
Yep.
So you're outside of the facility at that point. That's just outside parking. And then you can see everything on the right. You see the trees to the right of the track. That's the grove where a lot of the vendors will be. To the right of that is where all the trucks will be, all the way to the end of the trees. And then all that junk, all that stuff out there, that's where the RVs will be. So you can see how much space. So at this event, they use all that space that we're going to use for the show as their pits.
Yeah,
So-
it's loaded. It's loaded, man. There's tractor trailers, RVs. There's just big everything everywhere around here, man. It's like the minorities, the four-wheelers at this place.
Yep.
Yeah, what a sight though. I mean, Dan, I got to tell you, when you called and told me what you experienced down there, the excitement in your voice, I was sold immediately on this, and I really never had a doubt. I just thought, this place has got to be it, and boy, did it come through, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, being that drag racing is sort of the, staple of Truckin For Kids.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a drag racing facility. There's no
Yes.
circle track to waste space. There's no, it's just a drag strip and a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's really perfect for what we do. And the drag strip is long and spacious, and there's a great cool down area. Pete asked about if there's weight restrictions. I don't believe so. We can find that out, but I don't foresee there being any problem with that.
Shouldn't be an issue, right? I mean,
And the dates.
yeah, I don't. And then dates are
May 3rd and 4th.
okay, May 3rd and 4th. So Saturday, Sunday, but we have Friday to get checked in, right?
We are running under that premise. We're
Yes.
assuming so. Not 100% confirmed, but let's
Okay.
go with that.
That's what
Let's
we're
go.
thinking.
Let's go with it. So we've got the usual questions of what we will and will not be doing. That we probably, I have a feeling we will be over here. Maybe some things might be able to come back that we had to let go of down in Irwindale. And you know, would love to see them happen. I know they're a lot of work, but one of them was our charity barbecue we did every Saturday. And I don't know if that's going to make it back or not, but
Yeah.
I
Not sure.
I don't know either.
so like I said, we have some things.
John, I won't be doing it.
Okay, yeah, well,
Me either.
So therein lies the problem because we did it.
yeah,
So
well,
we could probably get some friends to come in and do it. It wouldn't quite be the same, but we've definitely got that idea around.
I think we have a new challenge task at hand here, and that is that, you know, everything that you and Shan and everybody else that was involved, I mean, myself included, on that barbecue aspect, whether before you get there or once you're there, maybe there's somebody out there that would like to be that crew that does that. And whether they have their own pit, their own whatever, you know, all those things can be worked out. So think about it, guys. You know, put the names out there in your head that could make that happen for Truckin For Kids, and we could make this barbecue charity meal happen again the way we used to. And maybe, man, I'll tell you, if we did anything, I'll tell you what, if our event looks like that, oh boy.
Oh, God.
I'm not sure I want our event to look like that.
We would definitely break some records if our event did look like that, though. That's for sure.
I am, yeah, man. I mean, wow, that would just be like, whoa. So anyway, we got to wrap this part up.
Those grandstands will hold 9,000 people.
Well, then we got 9,000 people. We got to get in there for the drags and make sure that they are entertained on Sunday, and we're going to do that, but we just got to make sure we get everybody in there. And by the way, Jacob Bonham tuning in. Jacob, good to have you on the show. Howdy. You and Emily, I hope you guys are good, and thanks for tuning in and watching. 9,000 spectators, brother. That would be some deal, some show on Sunday. And I'll tell you what, look, we did half of that, I'd be like, wow. But I mean, we've got something now to aspire to, and listen, no naysaying about nothing. There's no naysaying of any kind in any way, shape, form. Truckin For Kids, Trucker Rodeo, the two badass shows in California that there's ever been. So, you know, the only thing anybody can do that could make it better is show up. So everybody needs to get out and be there for Truckin For Kids, which is going to be here in Famoso, and the Trucker Rodeo, which is going to be down in Bakersfield. And they are going to stay, as we see it now, two very separate and distinct shows.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, why not? Look at this. This facility is freaking awesome. And so is Bakersfield. Bakersfield came through, I mean, in such a big way for everything and helping make it all come together the way that it did for that show and that event. So great job to everybody at Team 10-4 and Truckin For Kids. And we need to get to our cover guys. So you guys got anything else you want to share? Pre-registration? Are we coming close?
Well, we're working on that.
Yes.
Our goal is to have registration open February 1st.
Okay. Okay.
As soon as that becomes a reality and gets close, we will definitely promote the heck out of it, and you will get tired of hearing it.
Oh, then it's on, man. It's going to be a loop. Pre-register.
Right.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Tim, we're going to let you go now, brother, and we're going to bring our current cover truck man, and looks like could be wife.
You guys have a great night, and thanks a lot very much. And I just can't wait for TFK. So,
peace out, man. All right, good job, guys. Let's bring Mr. Kent into the show. And Kent, how are you, my friend? How are you?
Good evening, Kent.
Sorry to hang you up in there like that for all that time.
It's all right.
I think we're going to stick with the stacked version there for now. Just for a moment, just for a moment, I want to make sure that we give our folks who are helping us make this thing happen at Pittsburgh Power and Evans Detailing and Polishing a moment. Thanks for being there, folks, and of course helping us to bring the show to you guys once a month. Out there is Pittsburgh Power, of course, their max mileage product. So let's get that out of the way there. Congratulations, man, and welcome to the family.
Thank you.
I'm sure you heard that already, I would imagine. I doubt I'm the first one.
This has just been a great pleasure for me. I've wanted this for a long time.
Well, you got it, man. I'll tell you. And you got a couple of things that we really love at 10-4. You've got the truck for it, and you got the story for it. And Dan and I were talking a little bit more about you and your story, and I got about halfway through it, and it is quite a story. I mean, I really enjoy the fact that your family is old school, man. They're Teamsters, you know. You guys were Teamsters before that term got adopted by the Teamsters Union. So, you know, they should be paying you royalties.
Where's it at?
but true story. I mean, you know, a lot of folks probably don't understand how that all came together, but back in the day, man, before there was any gasoline, diesel, or otherwise, any 18-wheelers or anything, there was wagons and horses, and that's how we all got things around and moved. And the guys running the wagons with the horses were called Teamsters. So that's it. And you guys have handed that off to each other down the line, being that you're not so much on the trucking side of things as you are on the repair side of things now. I mean, you're sitting in looks like a shop full of Snap-on. This is my home garage. Oh, geez.
I like the picture on the wall.
I do. Yeah. That's a nice pic right behind you guys. Hey, let's stop for a second. Please introduce your, I'm assuming, wife.
This is my wife, Janetta.
Hi, Janetta.
She's my all support.
She's been around for a while, right?
Right on, as it should be. Good team. Yeah, good team. So that's the home garage. Are we looking? Those are Snap-on, or are those something else that I'm looking at?
There's two Matcos, and then it's kind of crazy. The red toolbox that the poster is in front of was my first box. I traded it off to the Snap-on man, and one day I went on the tool truck, and there was my original toolbox, and so I had to buy it back.
That's funny. So he was carrying it on there with the hopes of somebody buying it. Ended up being you.
He said, whoever had one of those toolboxes to start. And I said, well, why don't you take the key? And if it was the key that I had, it'll have a grind spot in the side of it. And he pulled the key out, and it's got the grind spot in it. So it's a big toolbox.
You and I, buddy, either that was just how it was done, or we have the same idea. But all my old tools, they had a grind notch in them, and then I started putting something a little more distinct in there, because I think everybody was kind of doing something like that, right? And by the way, Matco, are they even still around?
Yeah. I just have those boxes because I got a deal on them. That's what's at home.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I remember being and I used to be a wrench man full time. So I'm in the shop. I got Matco, Mac, Snap-on, and I think there was one other kind of whatever guy that would show up, but yeah, might have been. But man, I'll tell you what, we weren't making that great of money to buy the tools we needed to do the work we did. So thankfully they gave us all credit. Boy, what a deal that was. To support our tool habits. So anyways, let's talk about your truck. And of course I'm going to bring that up here. I've got it ready to go. Give me a second here and let's get that back on the screen. There she is. Tell me about your ride, man.
1957 Kenworth, 475 twin turbo Cummins with an MVT, 273-inch wheelbase, 36-inch sleeper, 13 speed and Pete air ride. We did all the work on it in my shop.
All the KW guys just spit a little bit when you said Pete air ride.
In Santa Clara, and brought it home. It just was it had a whole bunch of Peterbilt stuff hanging all over it, just a day cab. And I like Kenworth to be Kenworth, and so other than the suspension, that suspension was in it, but I stretched the truck, and it's just a super good old truck.
Now, and I haven't gone through the second half of the story. Are you showing this truck anywhere? Is it going to be going anywhere? What are we doing?
It was at the Truckin For Kids the first time I think I met Dan. And I've seen him. We've seen it. It's been at a few shows, a couple on the East Coast, and we've been around with it. But I started working it when I put it together. I had a Zach lift on it that I could tow with, and then unhook it and hook onto the trailer, and then work with the flatbed. And then I got tired of the little rock chips in the fender, so I put another truck together. And I drive the other one most of the time. This one when we need it. Still got the original front axle. It has air steering in it, air assist steering, and still pretty old school.
Reed made a comment here. He ground all the Pete logos off the air suspension on his.
He has a Kenworth too.
Yeah. See, I knew that was coming up somewhere along there. Are you? And I got to ask: are you planning on bringing this out to, say, Mid-America or anything like that? Has that ever been a consideration?
We haven't really thought about it since the COVID thing. I don't quite get into the truck shows as much as I used to. Been kind of wanting to, but I don't know that Mid-America is in the Midwest, isn't it?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah. And so I would just, I don't know if I would be going to that one or not, but we didn't go to the Truckin For Kids for the last couple of years, but that was sure a fun show.
Kent, tell them the story about going to ATHS.
Well, my son Trader and I last week took him out of school the last week, and I took a load from Phoenix to Albuquerque. Figured I'd do that to pay for my fuel to go to the show, and we took off and headed for South Bend. We were in Joplin, Missouri when that F5 tornado hit. Pretty devastating thing to watch.
Yeah.
Rained like crazy. We sleep in the truck with the water running down the walls. It was everything in it leaked. Every seam, everything leaked with all that water. We were at that new Petro truck stop, and it pretty much we're stuck there. Everything was closed. We waited for 3 days, and then we decided to go ahead and go on to the show. So we went on to the show, and then Trader says he's not ever going to Missouri again, and
He's cured. He's cured.
Little boy, he didn't want anything to do with that. That scared us all pretty good. We've seen that stuff seen it on the TV and all of our lives, but we were right smack in the middle of it. The devastation was, if it doesn't get to you, you're a pretty hardcore individual.
Did you actually see it go by?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it go by. But we've seen
You
it now.
gave it clearance. You said, "Come on down."
Pardon me?
I said, you gave it clearance. You said, "Go on by."
It's welcome to go on by, and then we'll go the other way.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But
what I'm thinking.
That was a great show. A lot of fun. Glad we went. Good friend of mine. We met up in Albuquerque. Good friend of mine went with us, or not with us, or we went together. But he's got a 52 Peterbilt, and we went on out to the show that way.
You know, I've read about half of your story, and Dan gave me the heads up on some background. But first, I want to share this with the audience, and that is that as Kent's been talking about this story and his son, Trader, that name came from your dad, who he's named after, and the nickname that he was given, if I'm following correctly, by his peers and guys, that Trader's a synonym for swap, or that, remove swap and turn that in. That was his handle on the radio back in the day, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to name him. We didn't know what to name him. We'd been talking about all kinds of different things, and then I think Janetta said Trader. She liked that, and I said I do too.
I said, what sounds funny with swap? And I said, Trader Swap, as a joke. And then his dad said, well, that was my trucking name. And he wanted us to name someone after family. And I did not want to name Trader Horace. Cool name. So we went with that.
Janetta, Trader, thank you for that.
Yes.
And he
likes his name.
He's proud of his name.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to everybody else that's dropping into the show. Alyssa, nice to have you on. Oscar also saying hello to you guys over there. Oscar saying howdy to Mr. Kent Swapp. So good to have you on there. Dougie, good to have you on the show. Burrito Friday, Dougie, always tuning in. Good to have you along. We're talking to our current January 2025 cover story man, and that was Mr. Kent Swapp, and of course his lovely wife Janetta has joined us as well on the show today, and of course Dan without Shan. Did Shan disappear to go cook dinner, or what's going on, man?
Exactly.
Right on. The rest of us are all in the room though, so we got to fend for ourselves here eventually. Now, being a fan of 10-4 and seeing what kind of goes on, is that something that came first, or where did things kind of fall in line for you and 10-4 and then the whole aspiration to even get on the cover? Was that, you said it's something you always wanted to do, it's kind of been on your checklist, but tell us how that all kind of came about and how it fell into play.
I think that Dan and them took some pictures at a couple of different times. I sent some pictures into him of my dad's truck one time, long time ago. But Ron Kelsey and I are good friends.
Ah, okay.
And that's, I'm sure, how a lot of this came about. I appreciate it muchly. But then, we just played trucks. I love shiny. And so, that's kind of what I like. That's what we've got. And I guess it's something that you guys like.
Shiny's good. By the way, my handle was Shiny Heine.
Well, I can say that is true, that we had met in the past and you had sent in some pictures. So I was very aware of you and and a couple of your trucks and your son's truck as well. And then we had planned this trip down to shoot Rod Pickett's RV. And we actually stayed with Ron Kelsey at his house. So we were with him for about 4 days down there. And before we went, I said, Ron, who else do you think we could shoot while we're down there? And Kent was the first person he brought up, and it sounded familiar to me. And he sent a picture. I said, I know that guy. I know that truck. So, we kind of put two and two together. And a couple weeks later, here we are out in the hot ass Sonoran desert and the Superstition Mountains. And man, it was hot that day. It was 106 the day we shot, and then the next day, I think it was the day we flew out, it was 115. It was stupid. It's like, okay, summer's here. Get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, time to go.
Yeah.
Ron went with us. He was sitting in the car running the AC about most of the day. Shannon too. I'm out there sweating and working. Right, Kent. Right, your testimony to that. I was out there getting her done, and they were sitting in the car.
See how it all falls apart and comes together, man. Dan, you stuck in there and made it happen, and the rest of everybody else peeled
They
off.
made
the
it happen
cooler.
too. They just needed breaks.
Okay, all right. Dwayne, thanks for coming into the show. Dwayne Smith joining us here on the show as well.
Dwayne.
You know, we didn't talk about something that is a big part of your story and common ground for you and I, and that's the whole COVID thing. I did not get it as severe as you. I did get it severe, but I was in the hospital 11 days. You were in the hospital for how long?
4 months.
4 months. Yeah, that's what I thought. And I mean, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, you caught it after bringing your wife into the hospital. You went home and you're feeling crappy. So then you checked yourself in, and then it was on after that.
You're gonna have to ask her because I was out for all of it.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Janetta, what do you think? You got?
We both went to a rehab to visit a friend who had COVID, and we thought that poor man, the financial aspect of it, and he was in the hospital for quite a while, and so we'd been real careful up until then, and then we went to visit him and visited for a half hour or so and left, and the next day we heard that there was an outbreak while we were there. And we went, uh-oh. And then 3 days later, we were both sick. And then, like the 10th day, Kent took me to the hospital. And then he drove himself there, like at 2 o'clock in the morning that same, right after.
I think we caught the same strain because you were sick in 21. Wasn't that when I got it, Dan? 21?
Yeah.
We were in, I think, it was. So
April.
that was
April, right before that, right? Because you guys were what, June?
June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a nasty one, man. I'll tell you what, I never been the same since. You still have the lingering brain fog and all that crap that?
I've got the lingering mental fog. I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
I just am not the same guy anymore. She calls me her alien husband. But I don't know. It's everything is so different, and my attitude is different, and my anger just goes off in a heartbeat now.
A little bit of a shorter temperament. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I've had to reel myself in a little bit at times, but and I got a question. You don't have to answer it. You can absolutely decline. But did you ever get the jab?
Afterwards.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, did it?
I was absolutely not going to take the shots, and you tell it how the doctor did it. Said at the hospital.
The doctor asked me why we didn't get the shots, and I said, well, I wanted to. But then I'd hear a story about how someone got the shots and they both died from blood clots. And I'd be afraid. And so I'd go back and forth, and we just hadn't done it. Ken thought it was political, and he didn't want to. But I wanted to. But then I'd hear something, and I'd be afraid. And so the doctor said to me, well, you know what? You know who's here in the hospital with you right now? And I said, who? And he said, everyone else who didn't get the shot. Get the shot. And so after I had an immunity for a while I was visiting Kent and in the
as
ICU.
did I. As did I. I mean, it wasn't until like when you guys, I got it, and when I did, it was like getting hit with a baseball bat. Anyway, listen, you know what? That's a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down, but it certainly lends to now. You were there. You had it, you got it, and then afterwards, I think we're all looking back, and incidentally, I never got it. I just felt like, everybody's getting it now. So that doctor probably had to look back at that a little later and go, wow, let's see, everybody that's in here is either had it or didn't have the shot. So it didn't matter. It's at that point, I think, Yeah. So
I would say too that,
I'm kind of scared of it.
Yeah.
To say the extent of Kent's, he got, he got COVID, but I mean, he was all the way to the ventilator state, which is usually by the time you get a ventilator, they're signing you off, and they put him in an induced coma. I mean, he got COVID completely.
Yeah,
and,
right.
He was knocking on death's door, and he had some really interesting stories about that, and some memories and some things that happened. That we talk a lot about that in the story. I would encourage people to read it. It's interesting and it's eye-opening. Dare I say?
Yeah.
But
Oh, sorry.
And I would encourage everybody to go to and read the article, read the story in this month's issue of 10-4 magazine. You can go to the website if you don't have a copy of the magazine. If you don't get our magazine for whatever reason, subscribe. Go to 10-4magazine.com and go to the subscribe tab and get your yearly subscription going. It's way worth it. It comes to you perfect, like this one came to me. I just got this the other day. It's in a perfect clear plastic sleeve. Comes to you like it did off the press the day it was printed, and it's protected forever. So if you're a collector, and a lot of guys are, you have a 5-pack you can pick up too. So go to the website and check that out. Jeff Patello jumping in, saying howdy, good to have you. Virgil Kane is his name. That's funny, man. Is that your real name? From Manchester, England. He is joining us for the first time. I've never seen him on the show, so thanks for jumping in, Virgil. We got to let you go because I've still got another piece that I want to share with everybody today, Kent and Janetta. As I said before, congratulations and welcome to the family. Once a 10-4 cover trucker, always a 10-4 cover trucker. And we look forward to seeing you at other events around the year. Better be at Truckin For Kids, my friend, and you better be at Trucker Rodeo. We need to get you to both of those, okay? Those are in your wheelhouse, man.
We'll get you some good prime parking at TFK.
Thank you so much. I say thank you.
You are most welcome. And I'll tell you, if you're really feeling really big, would love to see you in Louisville, man. That would be a big show. It is getting, actually, believe this or not, better in the last few years since COVID. They've done some things that have definitely been changes for the better. And I'm looking forward to seeing it this year with the latest change of the removal of the West Wing and the addition of the South Wing to the show and the footprint and the layout of the show itself. So you guys take care of each other, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Kent. Thank you for letting us do what we do, and for giving us the opportunity to be able to do what we do. We couldn't do it if you guys didn't build these trucks. And not only is it about the truck, but you're a great guy. I had a good time with you, Shannon and I both, and Ron and everybody. And you're a Cummins magician and a miracle man. So all around good guy in our book. Great story. I was really happy to meet you. We had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, the whole Cummins part of that we didn't get to talk about on the show, but you and I spoke on the phone the other day, and I couldn't remember what it was, but back in the day, if it was a mechanical engine, just a plain old Cummins, it was all about fuel buttons, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you made them run. So I think we could probably have Kent back again and talk a little more, but we'll save it for another time. And maybe over a nice cold one at a show somewhere, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. You guys take care. Cheers. All right, Dan.
Yes.
If you want to stick around, you probably don't, but I'm going to wrap the show and share the video that we have to share with our CAL FIRE guy. Great job on today's show with me. Thanks for jumping in.
Appreciate it. And I would just say, we're thinking about all those, I'm born and raised in LA, and I have a lot of family, friends, and business associates down there, a couple of which have been affected by these fires, as I've mentioned before. Thankfully, most of them know. But, there's just a lot of tragedy. There's a lot of mixed feelings about it. And I'm hoping that you're going to dispel some of those with this interview. Yep. And either way you slice it, it's a human issue. And there's a lot of loss down there. And there's a lot of loss from other places, too. And, our heart goes out to them as well. So,
yeah.
You're able to do this and get some good answers. And I'll sign out for now. And we'll be watching while we have dinner.
All right. 10-4. All right, Dan, take care. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, John.
You bet. All right, everybody. What a show, man. Literally down to 8 minutes left on our scheduled time. Virgil talking to us from the other side. So he says, proof of life, Virgil, proof of life or death or otherwise there, man. But from England, man, either way, if that's in fact correct, good to have you on the show, either way, living or dying, buddy. The gentleman that I had on or recorded this interview with, I'm going to bring my notes up here so I'm correct. Scott McLean is the gentleman's name, and the video. You know what? I don't think I loaded that up, so I'm going to have to bring that over to you here now. Let me get that taken care of right now. Let's see if we can get that done. Guys, stick with me. Great story, by the way, on Kent. Definitely go and read his story. It is a good one. There's a lot of great stuff in there. I'm going to bring this video over to you guys. You know what the thing is I don't think. Okay, you guys are going to have to bear with me here. Yep, I didn't get it loaded. I had to do a reboot on my computer earlier, and I forgot all about the doggone thing and didn't get it loaded where it needs to go, and that's sitting in my downloaded videos, and I'm going to bring that up right now. Here we go. Cal Fire. There he is. Okay. All right. So let's load that up. Video file. And that is under... There we go. As soon as that's loaded up, I'll bring it up onto the screen. Anyway, the main thing about this interview and why it's so great is it dispels any inaccurate information. Hi, Gene. Good to have Gene on the show, and I appreciate your words. Thank you. Very kind. Always nice to have Gene on the show with us. And one of these days, Gene, why don't you get you in front of the camera and share some stories you've got from back in the day and throughout the life of 10-4 magazine, man. I'd love to have you do that. All right. So without further ado, I may, we've got 5 minutes of scheduled time left. If I don't go through the whole video, I will post it immediately. In fact, I'm going to go ahead while it's playing, and I'm going to post it up on our Facebook page, and you guys can watch it in its entirety. But CARB is not involved in any of these inbound inspections of any of the trucks that are going in to service that are coming in throughout the United States on the west hemisphere of the United States. There's trucks coming in from all over. They come in, and these guys have service agreements between departments. That's how they make this happen, and it's all explained in the video. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and play it right now. So if you guys want to and you don't want to watch it all right now, that's fine. I'm going to post it up on our Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it there and play it there. But I'm going to start it here, and then I'll come back in and close. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, JT here with you. Obviously, if you're watching this, it's the recorded interview that I'm going to be doing. In fact, going to be doing it here shortly with Mr. Scott McLean, and that Scott is with CAL FIRE, and we're going to be talking about some procedures that are being spoken about, shared across different channels and social media, especially, you know how that goes, about how equipment coming in from other entities throughout the United States, whether Nevada, Mexico, Arizona, Oregon, Washington. I'll let Scott give us kind of a heads up where these guys are all coming from, but I think I named probably quite a few that are helping us out with the fires down in Southern California and the affecting areas down there. Many communities and areas have been devastatingly affected by what's going on down there, and you know, this event is another in California's history of wildfires that now are involving communities, because we build wherever we feel like it in this state, pretty much, and well, that's not necessarily a wilderness area down there, but there is undeveloped areas, certainly. The neighborhoods and communities of the Southern California region have been devastatingly affected. I'm sure a lot of you probably remember the Paradise Fire and what that was like, and how that was another devastatingly, you know, incredible fire situation that completely devastated an entire community, entire town, not only the residences, but the businesses, as has happened down in Southern California. So in our particular interest here with Scott and CAL FIRE and the equipment that's coming in, there's a process that needs to happen before these and I'm not going to say just trucks, because apparently it's all equipment gets inspected and made sure that everything is safe, operational, and that it can be sent out and do its job and then return back. And I understand they have a a final inspection that they do that is done when they're done and going back home. So we want to find out all the nuts and bolts of that and what it means to have somebody come in, how it works, and what it's like. So I'm going to bring our guest in. Scott, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for taking the time and being available for us to share with our audience what's going on, and of course clear up I hate even saying it, misinformation, just the social gab that's out there of what's happening with these trucks, vehicles, equipment that's coming in. You guys are inspecting everything that comes in on an individual basis, correct?
Correct. To give you kind of some facts, there are safety checks, as you were talking about earlier. That's all they are. There's no emissions involved. We do not do emission checks, period. The reason we're doing the safety checks, these rigs have been driving for hundreds of miles. So things are rattling, as they say, and coming loose, and things need to be taken care of. For an example, 200 rigs came in at one point to Davis shop. Phenomenal place, great people, great mechanics. And they had a rhythm down. So the equipment comes in as in strike teams. So our engines come in as 5 engines per strike team. So that strike team comes into the facility. Mechanics get on all 5 pieces of equipment at once to go over the safety check. 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so, that's it. Of those 200, only 29 were sidelined. 27 of the 29 were sidelined for just a few hours while their rigs were repaired or tires were put on. One thing, they found one rig that had tires that were 20 years old. So, and then the last 2, they didn't have the parts that were needed. They got the parts in the next morning, got them fixed, sent them on their way down south. So you can understand as truckers why we have to do this. If one of these rigs comes into California and continues down to the fire, breaks down alongside the road, that's one less vehicle or fire apparatus that we can count on to deal with these fires, to mitigate them. Or they get down on the fire and they break down in the middle of fire. That's a safety hazard for those on the rig and those around the rig.
Yeah, downtime never serves anybody. It's
No.
it's a bad way to affect repairs. And that's another part of this whole thing. Incidentally, if you guys want to see an actual, in fact, I could bring it up. I'm not going to waste our time to share that here. You guys want to go to Instagram, check out CAL FIRE on their Instagram, and you will see the processes, some of them that they are demonstrating that they do on these trucks, which incidentally, like you said, I think it was 27 trucks that were actually repaired, and then they got their destination where they were going to go. You guys are doing the repairs. CAL FIRE mechanics are doing the repairs.
Right.
CAL FIRE's paying for it. These guys come in, man, whatever's wrong gets fixed. I mean, how freaking awesome is that for them?
Mm-hmm. They're great guys, I'm telling you. I mean, we've had years of experience with them. The facility is phenomenal. It's several acres in size. It's just east of Davis and west of Sacramento, right on the Highway 80 corridor.
Right. And again, you know, the whole deal of trucks being turned away. There's no trucks being turned away for emissions. CARB's not there. There's not any other government entities that are there to try to punch some kind of a ticket and stop anybody who wants to offer their firefighters or their equipment to help out in fighting these fires. That's not happening. It's all about getting them there in one piece safely and back home. So there's an inspection that also occurs on the way back home. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. You know, CAL FIRE, that's what we do. Once we complete, I mean, let's back up a little bit. Where do our Type 3, our wildland fire engines go? I mean, what kind of terrain do they traverse?
You
know, I drove a Type 2 engine, which is basically looks like a city engine, out in a community called Bangor in Northern California. It was a rural community. I put that engine probably in places that it shouldn't have been in, but she did real well and got in and got out. So, I mean, think about rocks between the duals.
Right.
What's that going to do to your tires? What about something kicking up underneath that cab with all the hydraulic lines, your air lines, etc. Nowadays with those newer engines, especially as with new trucks that are involved. So yes, we have to facilitate an inspection after we are released from a fire. And it's one of the processes of checking out of a fire, off a fire incident, is to go through that safety check. A lot of areas in Northern California have lava cap. Those tear up the tires. I mean, the park fire, I couldn't even tell you how many tires were replaced on that one. Hundreds, for example.
Do you guys have service trucks out there in the field then that are, so you're ready to go? Any kind of a service repair or whatever issue can be done out in the field?
We'll use, when we set up base camp, we're going to have a couple repair folks out there of ours, you know, to do the everyday thing. When we're demobilizing the incident with our equipment, sometimes like up in Butte County where I'm from, we would use the Caltrans yard to facilitate those needs.
Are these guys bringing in dozers and loaders and so all that gets inspected as well?
Not necessarily the dozers, but the trucks, yes. The flatbeds, the tractors, all that does, yes.
Okay. Just trucks and tractors then, not the big,
anything that's traversing the highways.
Yeah.
The roadways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And what's going on right now? I mean, listen, I mean, you know, California, anywhere, anybody watching this tomorrow or today, when they actually see this, we're recording it today. They'll see it tomorrow on the Studio 10 for live. You know, your guys are out there, they're getting paid for what they're doing. The guys that are coming in, how does all that work? I mean, is there some sort of, hey, we're just here to help. Thanks for helping. See you later. We fixed your truck, or how does all that work?
A lot of it's state-to-state agreements, and then some. I mean, it's all under the umbrella of the federal government as far as pay.
Okay.
Office of Emergency Services in the state of California is overseeing this orchestra, if you will call it that, of reaching out, sending out requests throughout the nation for equipment, various types of equipment. It could be hand crews, a buggy. It could be Type 6s, which is like a F550 or 650 with a tank on the back and firefighting equipment. It could be our Type 3s, you know, and Type 2s. So whatever is needed, those orders go out and then people respond.
Is there a line as far as, okay, truck comes in, you guys, you know, you're looking on top, side to side, underneath, end to end, you find something and where's the line drawn of, okay, this is not a repair that we're going to take on. you need to take this somewhere else. Where does that kind of get drawn? Do you have that line?
I can't speculate on that right now. We haven't run into that circumstance.
Okay.
It's been pretty much, I mean, when these individuals, these departments respond, the equipment that responds is viable equipment. It has to meet certain standard specifications. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
just a pickup truck with a tank in the back.
So, I mean, but I've on the Instagram videos I watched, the guys were in there, they were replacing brake chambers and tires. And I mean, I guess if it needed brakes, you guys would probably throw brakes on there as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all, think of it safety.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Are your guys, besides being, I mean, there's some kind of probably certification that they're under for their mechanical abilities, whatever that is, ASE or otherwise. Are these guys any former inspectors, or do they have that? You know, these guys talk about, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go over and work for the, commercial unit of the CHP and to start inspecting trucks. I mean, does any of that kind of go on? Or
We've had some mechanics in the past come over from CHP, for an example. I don't know of any of ours going back to CHP or CHP, but they're both state agencies. So yes, they're well trained. They need to have certain certification to be working on the safety equipment for obvious reasons.
Right. Okay. Just want to kind of, give a little background too of you, Scott. And we talked a little bit earlier. You came into CAL FIRE back in 1997, and you were 43 years old at that time. That was a heck of a time to start a new career. I mean, 43 is young, but still, that's a great age. You came in the late 90s. You were trucking before that, running building materials and lumber, correct?
Yes, I was what I call the old Canary Jimmy cab over, 22-foot bed on the back, and then the trailer probably 22 feet long, 20 feet long. Our place I worked for, the lumber yard, had about 4 locations, I believe, at the time. So I would service those locations with supplies and hit the nearest mill and backhaul whatever it may be. It could have been even cement. It could have been blocks. It could have been lumber. I was all over the state for the most part. Yeah.
Whatever needed to get to whatever job site, that's what you were bringing out. And incidentally too, I mean, the truck you were driving, we talked about that yesterday. I always tell people with those old Jimmies, anything with a Detroit and 8B92 or anything like that under the hood, that thing you didn't work it worked you.
It was a valley truck, is what I call it. It was really long-legged, but of course, they would send me up into the hills to make deliveries or pick up at the mills, of course. It was an interesting rig. I think it was a 13-speed, if I remember right. And
probably
air assist steering, if that's a combination for you.
That's old school there too. I mean, no, those were trucks. And myself, I went through my Detroit era in trucking, and my hearing has suffered immensely from it. But you know what? It's all part of the gig. At least it used to be. Not anymore. You don't see those. They'd never pass a carb test. I mean, there's just no way. Not going to happen. Incidentally, too, I might mention now that, you're actually retired, but you sure don't look like it. So once a firefighter, always a firefighter, right?
Yes, more so than you would imagine.
And they called you up and said, Scott, you doing anything? And you were about to say no. And they said, well, you are. And here you are, right?
Yes. That's welcome.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like it agrees with you, and it's something you don't have any issues doing, and probably I think you enjoy it. So,
well, it's the people you work with. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Good. CAL FIRE, good organization. I mean, been around forever. There's been I quite a huge history of CAL FIRE and the fire camps, the bases where they fight fire out of. How many different states right now do you know are in California helping with this effort down in Southern California?
Well, my notes show there's 11 states that have responded to our requests. We're looking at Oregon, Washington, Utah, New Mexico, Idaho, Texas, Montana, Nevada, North Dakota, South Dakota, as well as Colorado and Arizona. The National Guard has been dispatched as well to helping the law enforcement side, as well as aircraft, C-130 MAFs, as well as their helicopters for drops. Then we look in Mexico sent 4 hand crews up to us the other day. And then British Columbia, if I remember correct. Yeah, British Columbia sent 14 individuals to help us with our incident management teams.
Wow. Is there another location in Southern California that's helping with inspections, or does everybody come through Davis?
For the most part, everybody's been coming through Davis because most of them have traveled across mid-nation and upper northern part of the nation and coming in on the Highway 80 corridor probably would be the simplest. Definitely down, I-5 for the other way. I mean, it's in close proximity to those various freeways. The ones down south, like the folks from Mexico, for an example, would have hit another facility down in Southern California.
I was kind of wondering because I saw the guys come in from Mexico, and I don't know, I'm thinking to myself, if you're that far south, man, I hope there's someplace down there that these guys can get into.
Oh yeah. Yes, you got it.
Yeah, not have to do any crazy loops to get down back to the fire. So let's dive into the fire just a little bit. I don't want to get crazy into it, but how are things looking and equipment wise? Is everything working out? Have you had any issues? What are things looking like from your perspective, and what's going on down there right now?
Well, let's start where we're at as we speak now, and then we'll go backwards a little bit. So on the Eaton fire, we're looking at it's holding. It's been holding for a bit now, a couple of days. It's 14,117 acres, but the containment continues to climb. It's up to 35% as of this morning. And then you're looking at the Palisades fire. It's at 23,713 acres. That's been holding for a couple of days as well. The containment is much lower at 17% containment. Now in the Palisades fire, we were just informed this morning that there is an actual line around that fire. It took some time, a lot of boots on the ground dealing with it because of the topography and the type of fuels that are present in those areas.
Right.
So now a line around that fire is great, but you notice that it's only 17% contained. So there's a lot of interior fire area to deal with. The terrain is definitely difficult to get dozers in. So your hand crews are taking over that aspect, and where dozers can, they're going to come in. Your engine crews are going to, fulfill that need. Our water dropping or retardant dropping helicopters are going to go in there when they can, of course, when it's safe to do so. And our fixed wing will go in and mitigate certain issues if there is a need as well. So they're all down there. They all can fly, but I want to bring up one point in relation to the drops. Your fixed wing aircraft, whether it be 130s, your DC-10s, your BAEs, your DC-9s, on and on and on, they need a straight line of sight, as you can imagine, to be able to facilitate that drop with accuracy. Now, when they're coming in, we have a rule of thumb that's roughly 30 plus miles per hour winds. We try not to fly because the drop, the retardant or water, doesn't really matter, will dissipate and not do its job. It'll go sideways, if you will. Just picture a box fan turned on high, get a cup of water and kind of start pouring it in front of the fan and see what the water does. There's no effect. It just dissipates it. However, there's a video out, speaking of videos on YouTube, that shows one of our new C-130 aircraft making a run. He was following a lead plane, a twin engine aircraft. It puffed smoke as to where they wanted that drop to go. Smoke drifted off to the side. C-130 comes around the bend and it's flying into the wind at a diagonal. It makes its drop and proceeds to come back out of it, flying into the wind at a diagonal, and you see that retardant come down and it kind of hits that ridge line. So he was low enough where it made a little bit of a difference, and he knew where he needed to be over to that one side so that product would drift and hit where it was needed.
There's some phenomenal footage being shared out there of the air effort that's going on right now, planes and helicopters, and I'll tell you, I mean, it is like some of those guys, if they're older pilots, they were probably out, whether it was, I'm certain there's not any
IMR.
the
Old TT pilots.
Vietnam pilots, but probably Desert Storm and those kind of guys that were out there. But it's kind of a war zone out there, man. They're battling the Mother Nature and the fire, right? I mean, everything's going on.
Exactly. I mean, on the campfire, for an example, the one in Paradise in November 2018, one of our S2 pilots saw the column start to rise. He went directly to the Chico airport and got filled up and got into the air before anybody else did. And he, in that fire, took off so fast, he got up above it and tried to make some passes, but he couldn't see where to drop. But as he was maneuvering around that fire, at one point, his aircraft dropped over 1,000 feet in a matter of a second or two. So there's a ride for you. And then it went sideways another 1,000 feet.
I would have been.
Yeah. I mean, these pilots, as you said, are phenomenal. Another instance, many years ago, we had I believe it was an S2 pilot. He, it was a Harrison's, and I remember vividly. He came in, same thing, same situation. I think it was back in 07 or so. And he just landed and he got out of his aircraft and just bawled. He was so frustrated. He couldn't do what he needed to do.
Right.
And these people are giving it their all.
Yeah, no, there's stuff going on, and listen, the way these videos that I've seen, and I've watched quite a few, have been shot. They've been well put together, and they show these guys coming in, the smaller fixed wing aircraft that you said, puff smoke. I never knew that those guys did that, but I got to see that process now. They drop a line of smoke, then the tanker comes behind that, drops on top of that, and that's how they know where to throw with the water or the retardant.
Right.
I never knew that.
In our cases, on our air aviation, we have over 70 aircraft now between our Hueys, our Sikorsky helicopters, our C-130s, and our S2s. A Ferris plane that flies above the fires now. There's 2 of those in the state of California. They will pick out their IR. They'll pick out and sense various hot spots. A very great, new technology as far as aircraft to help us fight the fight. But it's just, like you said, it's amazing. Then we have the OV-10s, of course, that are part of that package. Those are your old Vietnam era twin engine, and they're circling high above, orchestrating the various aircraft as to where they need to be. So that OV-10's flying in one circle, and then all the other aircraft below them are going in opposite direction of that OV-10. That way you can see. Unfortunately, we've learned the hard way.
Well, some of the best lessons are learned in the hardest fashion. I mean, they stick with you, don't they? Scott, I know we talked about doing maybe about 15 minutes. We're coming up on 25. So I'm going to, I know it goes just like that. I'm going to wrap us up here. I want to first say thank you for your many years of being in CAL FIRE, serving the communities and people of California. Thank you very much. And to the rest of your buddies and comrades that are out there right now on the lines, we thank them very much. 10-4 magazine's been around close to 33 years now. And, over the years, we've had a variety of different types of trucks. I don't know that we've ever had a fire truck on the cover, and I certainly would think that would be a cool thing to do.
I think it's great.
I'm thinking we might have something there. So I'll be talking to our editor Dan Linss after we say our goodbye here in a minute, and maybe make that happen. Thank you for taking the time out today and informing us of what is really going on with not only this incident but any other time that out of state guys are coming in, and how it works and what they have to look forward to. And the reality is, guys, CARB is, we may not like CARB, and most of us don't, but they're not here messing with anybody today. So there's the good news. Yes. Scott, hang with me on the as I close our segment, and I will be with you momentarily. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, talk to you in a few.
Okay.
All right, everybody, back live with you here, JT in the studio. Just a fantastic 25 minutes of information of what is really going on, what's reality, what's happening, what's not. Now you know as well as the rest of us, and yeah, all the rumors are just that. They're rumors, and that it's not unusual. Look, that's just nature of the beast, as they say, and sometimes what happens, especially in this day and age, social media, everybody comes up with their own thoughts. Somebody says something, and now it becomes the truth. Well, just to cover some basic carbs not involved. California Air Resource Board, in case anybody's wondering, well, what the hell is carb and what does it matter? They dictate what can and can't run in this. Not, I keep referring, it's their state, not mine anymore, but the state of California. And Scott and I had a laugh at some point in our conversation. I think the other day when we spoke, he's got a target on his back. He's got a motorhome, and those are targeted to be outlawed in California. Go figure. So our wishes, hopes, and feelings are that we hope for the best possible outcome to all the families affected in these fires in Southern California. That feeling of empathy and concern is no less than we have felt for any other natural disaster or otherwise that has happened in our country, and we hope that there is some resources available for everyone in need wherever they're at, and there's plenty that need it. So we don't discount any of them, and we've certainly hoped that we've done a good job to try to bring that forward through Studio 10-4 Live and 10-4 Magazine, and just who we are and what we do. That is why I really felt it was important we did the spot with Scott and CAL FIRE. Incidentally, too, CAL FIRE, yes, it is CDF, as we all in California growing up knew it as, California Department of Forestry. Why the CAL FIRE thing came in, I should have asked Scott and didn't, but we'll get around to that. I think Scott will be back, and I think we'll definitely be talking to him again soon, and talking about the outcome of the fires down there and how they turned out, and what happened on the outbound inspections with all of these trucks that came through and were inspected on the inbound. How cool is that? Again, these guys come in with these trucks no matter what kind of condition they're in. And listen, these are trucks that are supposed to be ready to go and battle a fire anywhere, in their service area. So they're supposed to be in sound mechanical shape. Well, they aren't always. As he said, they found one truck with tires 20 years old. So they replaced them. I mean, thanks, guys. I needed new tires. I told Scott, I said, I have a truck. Can I get it inspected? And if there's anything needs to be fixed, you guys fix it anyway. Thanks again to CAL FIRE. I appreciate it. Thanks for you guys for hanging in. That interview in its entirety is now uploaded onto our Facebook page. If you want to go back and revisit it, make sure that you get your facts straight on what was being said, and how many acres containment vehicles that are in the state, that are from out of state, and so on. It's all there for you to check it out. Next week, I hope to have another really good source for what's going on and what her experience has been down there and reporting on the fires in Southern California. And that will be Brittany Hope from NBC4, who will be joining us. And I'm hoping that I can get her live. The way her schedule is right now, she's probably asleep because she'll be going in at midnight to start her coverage, her daily coverage of the fires down there. So we'll see how it pans out. And if it works out, then we'll get her in here. Otherwise, we'll do a recorded session like we did today. Thanks again to Evans, Detailing and Polishing. Time to shine, of course. When it's time to shine, get a hold of Evan, man. He'll take care of you. Pittsburgh Power, manufacturers of max mileage, great fuel additive. Pretty much put that stuff in anything. It's kind of like Frank's Red Hot for trucks. Put that bleep on anything, right? So Thank you guys for always sticking with us and being a part of 10-4. A lot of great things coming up here soon in 2025. It looks to be a good year, so let's make it the best and let's kill it, man. Let's kill it. And the countdown is on. Oh man, the countdown is on. I don't know if anybody's been watching these Senate inquiries, the hearings that are going on, but holy crap, man. If I had a job interview like that, I'd have probably turned around and shot somebody because crazy. Get a chance, go in and you'll see what I'm talking about if you look at them and what's been happening. Yesterday was Pete Hegseth and as the Secretary of Defense, and today Secretary or Attorney General. She was being interviewed. All right, guys. Keep shiny side up. Thanks for tuning in. We went long today. We got us an hour and a half show of Studio 10-4 Live for you. Don't mind doing it at all. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Randy, good to have you on the show, buddy. Thanks for joining it in. And Dennis, what's the next meal, man? I'm waiting. Take care, everybody.